So Salem itself, Salem, means wholeness, and it means in one piece. And my great ancestor, many years ago, he went off into battle, into war, and he was the only one that came back, and he came back in one piece. He came back whole. And so that's how he received the name Salem.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark and welcome to episode 212 of the Assyrian podcast. It is integral for us in the Assyrian community to highlight and commend those who strive for excellence. Doing this inspires those who listen to take notes and apply those new ideas to their own successes. Christina Salem is an example of someone in the Assyrian community who strives for excellence and success. Christina is the founder and director of the nonprofit Assyrian Chaldean Syriac Mental Health. This nonprofit focuses on addressing the mental health needs of the people in the Assyrian, Chaldean, and Syriac communities. Along with the nonprofit, Christina is an entrepreneur who sells apparel and advice on her website, Salem's Vision. On top of all that, she has also authored a book titled This Girl I Met in the Bathroom. Join me as we highlight Christina's accomplishments and gain new insights from her experiences. If this is the first episode you're listening to on the Assyrian podcast, Shana Tilochon, and welcome. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and review the Assyrian podcast wherever you listen to it, and share these episodes with others. Now, without further ado, Christina Salem. Hello, my name is Mark Aziz. With me is Christina Salem, a woman who wears many different hats. First off, let's just start off with you, Christina. Tell me about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
My name is Christina Salem. I'm an internationally published author, entrepreneur, and nonprofit director. I'm from West Bloomfield, Michigan, and my roots trace back to the Assyrian and religiously Chaldean communities here in Metro Detroit. My work revolves around storytelling, empowering others, and fostering mental health awareness within marginalized communities.
Nice. I want to talk about the fostering mental health within the Assyrian community. I see that you are the founder of the nonprofit Assyrian Chaldean Syriac Mental Health. So can you tell me what is ACSMH?
Yeah, ACSMH stands for Assyrian Chaldean Syriac Mental Health. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and it was founded to support mental health initiatives within the Assyrian Chaldean and Syriac communities.
So once again, why did you create ACSMH?
So I created ACSMH to address the unique mental health challenges faced by the Assyrian Chaldean and Syriac people, particularly those in diaspora or recovering from conflict-related trauma. Back in 2017, I've grown up in diaspora. I'm a first-generation born American. And back in 2017, as a student journalist, my background is in journalism and public relations. I did a study abroad in Greece, and I lived in Athens for a summer. And while I was there, it was my mission to observe our community in the midst of crisis. And the things that I saw while I was there and the things that I observed really echoed with the fact that so many of these people needed and required mental health assistance or some type of help to guide them through all of the traumas and things they experience on their journey. Fast track a few years later, in 2022, I went to the homeland with Gishru, and I was able to see what it was like for our community in the homeland and having to survive all the things that they've survived, and having to go through ISIS, which is why where I was observing the community in 2017 in Greece, like that was the community that was fleeing ISIS. So having seen the community that's survived and stayed after ISIS, and having seen the community that's been living here after trauma after trauma that has caused my ancestors to have to flee and go to the United States or wherever neighboring country to offer them some type of home base. And even there, it was, so prevalent that mental health assistance or help was needed. And similarly within, diaspora as well, just because you're having people go through something as difficult as migration. They're leaving everything that they know behind for a new world where they don't know what they're up against. And there's so many things that are there that are hard to figure out within translation. And so I created ACSMH to be able to assist people through those transitions and to be able to provide some type of guidance or education to those who are assisting those in those transitions and in those circumstances.
Wonderful. I really understand where you're coming from because way back when I did an interview with Savina Dawood. I'm not sure if you've heard of her or not.
Of
She's
course.
yeah, she runs Ituti, the nonprofit. And I remember she mentioned to me how when she went to Iraq around that time, trying to help out those that were like fleeing from Nineveh, she noticed as there everybody was busy trying to get together like the basics, making sure everybody had food, water, shelter. One thing she noticed was that there were the little kids that were like playing these games, and they were saying like, okay, so you're I'm gonna be ISIS and you're gonna kidnap her, and I'm gonna go save you, and we're all gonna go do this and that. And then like once she heard that, she's like, whoa, hold on, like can we like talk about the mental health, like the mental health effects of what just happened here? Because like look at what our children are saying
Yeah,
or existing, for instance. So I
absolutely.
can definitely see like why this is a very, very good idea to do this, especially with something that is as stigmatized as mental health is. And although conditions are improving, mental health is still something that is stigmatized today by today's society, along with Assyrian society in general, Assyrian, Chaldean, and Syriac. So, what is ACSMH doing to destigmatize mental health?
So, to destigmatize mental health, we have a framework that our organization runs by, and that's called REACH. And REACH stands for Research, Education, Awareness, Collaboration, and Healing. So, it encapsulates our mission to provide culturally specific mental health resources. We focus on education and awareness through workshops, online campaigns, collaborations with trusted community leaders or other groups, or community resources. We also foster open conversations and we aim to normalize seeking help.
Nice. So, can you tell me more about REACH? How did you formulate it?
A reach just came to me one day. I kept saying, I want to reach more people. I want to reach more people. I want to reach as many people as possible. And I thought about what reaching someone would mean in the context of mental health. And I thought about, where we wanted to go with mental health and came up with research because I feel like it's really important to make sure there's enough study out there about our community and about communities at large that have faced similar traumas or traumas in ways that we have. Education would be the next step after that research to display that information, or not necessarily display that information, but like to share that information with the public and to let them know, hey, like this is what we found and this is what it is, based on things that we've learned and based on research and science-backed evidence. This is what we have to provide for you. And science is always changing and science is always shifting, and it's something that is very experimental, but this is what the science says. And on the flip side of that, we also want to address things of like spirituality. So those two, in my opinion, go hand in hand. And educating people and creating awareness, which is the next foundation of reach, and the A in reach. And so creating awareness and allowing people to know that mental health is just as important as physical health, and then coming together with other groups and other communities to raise awareness and to educate and to continue our research. And that's our third foundation, which is collaboration. And then as all those things come together as a community, step by step by step, we reach our final foundation, which is healing. And healing gives people the opportunity to take everything that we've built up until that point and that we've created and that we've come together in with the community and so on and so forth, and apply it and to actually use it in their day-to-day life and to become aware of it and to practice it. And so it begins to lighten the load that they may be feeling or alleviate some type of burden. So we want to be able to empower as many people as possible with reach.
Wonderful. So, how has ACSMH impacted the Assyrian community?
So we've offered support through workshops. We've also begun working on tailored programs. We have a lot of plans in the future. We have presented at the Assyrian American National Federation Convention. So that took place in, I believe it was August, and beginning of September. So we presented some resources there available for the community. We also networked with so many other mental health professionals, and we're in the midst of building a catalog that's specific to the ACS community of mental health professionals that are specific to our community. And to continue to build those resources, we've presented at various different collaborative workshops that we've done, one being in Chicago about opioid awareness, another being at the Middle Eastern Studies Association conference in that was digital this year, but took place in Washington, D.C., I believe. And we were there with the Assyrian Studies Association presenting a lot of the research and surveys that we've done over the past year on identity and on mental health awareness.
Nice, nice. So, how does ACSMH collaborate with these other mental health resources?
So we reach out and we partner with professionals or with organizations to provide culturally informed information, and we build referral networks. We share knowledge that bridges gaps in services for our community. We do as much as we can to figure out where people have passion for this and are focused on this, and build partnerships and relationships with those people in order to continue to raise awareness about the importance of mental health and how it's vital to every single one of our lives, even on a day-to-day basis.
Wonderful. Well, so far this has been a really, really great conversation talking about the importance of mental health, especially for all Assyrians, Chaldeans, and Syriacs, considering everything that our people have went through all these years. And before we move on to the next topic, I'm going to ask one more question. What makes mental health an especially important point of emphasis for Assyrians, Chaldeans, and Syriacs?
Mental health, I feel like, is an especially important point of emphasis for our community because we've endured displacement, we've endured trauma, we've endured cultural loss over generations. Addressing mental health is vital for preserving our identity, for fostering resilience, for breaking cycles of suffering within our community. I'm sure you hear from a lot of the older generation a similar song and dance across the board. You know, doesn't matter where you are in diaspora, doesn't matter if you're in this country or that country, you kind of just hear the same thing over and over from our elders. And I think if we, I'm not, trying to do anything to, I want to honor them as much as possible, but I also want to show that there is a way to live that doesn't have to be burdened by the traumas of the past and the weight of the past. And that can all be released, and that can all provide a lighter, brighter future, not only for themselves, but for generations to come.
You know, when you talk about that, it reminds me of when I went to Iraq earlier this year in the spring, and we went to Berwer, and we stopped at this one church. I forget the name of it. It might have been St. George, but there was this one elder woman that was there, and the tour guides that were there were telling us about how her husband back in the 1980s was part of the Assyrian Democratic Movement, and how he was eventually caught by the Iraqi forces and executed. Whenever we would like speak to this woman, the poor thing could barely keep it together. She was still hurt about this thing that happened, even though it was 40 years ago. It's something that she still hadn't recovered from. And that's just like one instance of, the mental anguish that, our people go through, whether it be, having a loved one being taken from us, being uprooted from our homes, being forced to go to somewhere where you've never been before, and, having to set up shop and make home there. So I salute you for, going out of your way to create this nonprofit to really help address all these issues that are like burdening the Assyrians, the Chaldeans, and the Syriacs.
Yeah, I often feel like so many of these things are considered to be taboo and they're so unspoken. And I enjoy being the person that's okay to talk about it with. I feel like I've always been a very approachable and warm human, open to like all people. And open to having like various conversations about different walks of life and different perspectives. And so I'm so honored to be able to have this opportunity to be able to bring this information and this knowledge to the community. And I'm so blessed with an incredible team of amazing professionals that have experience and that have so much knowledge that they've done. Aside from like my own personal research and things that I've looked into on my own study, and they have the greatest team. I'm so blessed to have them, and I really can't thank them enough for all the time and effort and passion and dedication they have as much as I do. So I really wouldn't be anywhere or anything without them. And it genuinely takes a village, and to know that there is an entire quote unquote village that is supporting this. I hope that we continue to make strides and create more awareness and education in our communities so that we reap the benefit of it for many, many years to come. Because everybody gains something from being in this feeling like they're experiencing love, joy, and happiness. We just thrive more as a community and as a whole when we're expressing these types of emotions. And, oftentimes because of the experiences that a lot of the people in the community have gone through, it almost feels sometimes guilty to be in those vibrations or in those modes and those feelings and those moods. We have to be a little more open to that. And I'm hoping to create more openness for that.
Well, I wish you all the good luck with ACSMH, and we're going to move on to some of the other things that you do, such as Salem's Vision. So tell me about Salem's Vision. What made you want to pursue running this business? And I call it a business because it does many things. It's a multi-platform business. You're selling clothing, you're offering coaching and marketing, PR, and all that stuff. So tell me, like, what made you want to pursue that?
So we first started, Salem's Vision first started as like a coaching platform, and we've helped, dozens upon dozens of people within the coaching facet. And that's something that's been very, very rewarding. I'm sure, as you've spoken to me, I bring a lot of dynamism, a lot of energy to things. And so that is something that I love to share with others. And I feel like some people are not always in that right mindset. I received coaching certification, wellness coaching certification from my university, Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. And so that's what created this inclination for me to get into this path. It is something that I love to do and that I enjoy to do, just knowing that I'm able to make a difference in someone just through conversation and listening and hearing them and like allowing them to be and them allowing themselves to be open to guidance or to learning or to where they could potentially be on their life path has been something that's been amazing. I have always had a background in apparel, retail apparel, and accessories. So it's something that I've done for over a decade now. It was something that I really enjoyed doing while I was in high school. One of the experiences that I had in high school was I was part of a marketing competition, and the category that I was competing in was apparel and accessories. And I ended up going to the international level and getting first place. So in the back of my mind, it was like always something that I was kind of good at. And when I first entered university and college, it was something that I thought I should pursue. But it didn't end up being something that really energized me in a way that in the traditional way. And so like learning about economics and accounting and things like that were cool, but I wasn't very passionate about it. I wanted to do it my way. And being with Salem's Vision and creating Salem's Vision, I've been able to add this clothing line aspect and this apparel line that merges all these different cultural motifs with modern designs. So my passion for fashion and my heritage has inspired me to create pieces that honor my culture while appealing to more contemporary tastes. It's a way to celebrate identity while creating wearable art. And I've always been someone who's an artist, and I've always been somebody who's really inspired by art. And with that, I've been inspired by people like my grandfather, who used to create ancient Assyrian motifs and ancient Assyrian art that's like found in the British Museum through mahogany wood, inspired by people like my grandma who have always done special occasion dresses and have dressed people for their most important occasions, inspired by people like my mom who have always been so hands-on and like creative and been able to make like a topala or like a yalikhta like from scratch, and it's like something so amazing. And even by my dad and by everyone in my family because of their innovation, and I gain a lot of inspiration from that, and hence the reason why Salem is like part of the name, because so much of who I am and where I gain my inspiration is the legacy that's created me. I have a really strong connection, I feel like, to my family, to my ancestors, to everybody around me, and I'm deeply deeply moved by them, and they've created this determination in me to always want to strive to do amazing things because they've all been entrepreneurs. So they've all owned businesses, they've all had this path, and being in that and doing that, I've always been also on the creative side, but being born as a millennial, I've had this computer in my hands for most of my life. And so I've learned how the digital side of that and the digital side of marketing, and figuring that out and figuring what appeals has been an amazing journey as well. And I've begun to expand Salem's vision into digital marketing and PR. And that's something that I've been doing, over the course of the last year, is beginning to slowly integrate those services, because it is something that I love and it's something that I enjoy doing. And it's something that I'm building a team to also be able to offer on a wider scale, because we're just good at it. We know, yeah, we can make it happen. And that really excites me. And I love that Salem's vision as a name as itself really presents itself as something that's a vision, and it can encompass so many things. And so it almost becomes this like lifestyle brand, and this way to be a one-stop shop for fashion, for advice, for life advice, for branding, for anything you can really think of. We can do it all.
Amazing. I want to go back to how you're doing marketing and PR coaching along with life coaching. How many people have you helped since the start?
So since 2017, I mean, it's been dozens and dozens of people, I would say, at least with life coaching and branding and all of that, around like a round number, maybe 80 to 100, because we've done parties and things like that where it's innumerable. There are so many people coming in and out, it's hard to count. And that's across various fields, and that's helping them refine their branding, helping them amplify certain messages and develop actionable strategies, not only for personal growth, but for monetary growth as well.
And you said that you've been running Salem's Vision since 2017.
Yes.
How has it been running it as a whole?
Well, running Salem's Vision, I feel like a lot of the services that I've provided have grown alongside my professional endeavors and my professional growth. It's been really rewarding. It's been very challenging, but it's incredible to see how people resonate with different designs. It's been a constant learning experience. And it's always like a matter of balancing creativity and business logistics and like trends and fashion and audience awareness and things like that. And it is definitely juggling a lot, but I really enjoy it. And I always love challenging myself as much as, I can, to see how I can go and to see what heights I can push further to, because I don't feel like I don't see anybody doing the things that I'm doing in this world. And so I only see myself as like this form of competition that I have to be better than. And so I'm constantly striving to be better than what I was yesterday in every way, shape, and form.
So, what are some of the difficulties that you faced in getting Salem's Vision off the ground?
Some of the difficulties I faced in getting Salem's Vision off the ground was just being a one-person team. So being one person trying to wear 700 hats at once, not necessarily having a lot of experience in some of those hats, created this adaptability in me and this attitude to always keep going. And shout out to keep going. So this attitude in me to always like remember to adapt, to stay positive, to continue learning, to try as much as possible, and to always put forth the best effort. There have been so many times where I wanted to just crash and be like, and throw my hat in and sit and quit. But I feel like success never came to somebody who quit. And so that's why I always persevered. And there have been times where I've asked myself, is this the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? And then I remember everything in life can always be edited. Everything in life you're never on your final draft, so to speak. And with that being said, I constantly kept shifting gears because I am in a creative world. I do offer creative things. I offer things of an artistic nature to people. And so those things can always be adjusted and changed and shifted to fit what they need to fit. And so that's what I constantly found myself doing in trying to create Salem's Vision to be what it is today.
Let's talk about the clothes really quick. What are some of your favorite clothing designs?
So some of my favorite clothing design, I love the Assyrian press collection. It features the same bold, like collegiate lettering. It's one of my latest collections that I just dropped. It was inspired by an Assyrian baseball team in the 1930s. So it's a tribute to that resilience and creativity within the community. The platform Meso Portrayal actually posted a video about it from the Assyrian Studies Association. And I had just been doing some work with them in collaboration with ACS and just found it so like amazing how all those things kind of came together in one cohesive like strike of lightning almost. I was like, wow, I have to do this. This is so cool. And my misinterpretation was that I thought Assyrian Press stood for something journalistic because this community has always valued journalism and my background is in journalism. So I was like, oh, cool, like Assyrian Press. And then when I did learn more about it and learned its affiliation, I mean, I'm a big fan of baseball personally, love to watch the games in person, used to play when I was younger. So it all came together in such a beautiful way in a beautiful collection. And it's been something that's been really well received by our audience. And I hope it's something that, we continue to do more collegiate level stuff because I feel like that is definitely the group of people that appreciates this the most. And I think that the block lettering being the exact same that you saw, like we tried to keep it as authentic as possible, but also added like a modern spin and a very modern take to it.
Wow, that's
And the
pretty
logo's
cool.
on the sleeve, always wear your heart on your sleeve. So peace of my heart is with you all.
That's really cool because like I remember seeing it and I would have never thought it was based off of a baseball team.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. So to move on, what does the future entail for Salem's Vision?
So the future for Salem's Vision is, just continue navigating some of these challenges, finding or building brand recognition in a competitive market. Just facing all these significant hurdles that come day after day. These challenges teach a lot of resilience and they teach a lot of adaptability. And so continuing to overcome those things and always finding ways to appeal to different audiences and to grow and expand. Like I said, I was talking about getting a little bit deeper into digital marketing as well as PR work and continuing to build a team around that and wanting to grow from that. And also putting out new collections. We have some amazing collections coming for everybody this next year. Many of them are already planned out. Almost the entire year is planned out, which is probably the best way to do it. The earlier you can plan your years, the better. Not your years, your whole years, but the year ahead. That way you have an idea of how to rock things out and can always adjust and adapt accordingly. That's my little Sam's Vision advice to you guys. And moving on to that, to just continue to help people and to continue to better myself as a human and learn more about the human psyche and ways that I can create and I can help people achieve this overall wholeness and wellness in their life. So Salem itself, Salem, means wholeness. And it means in one piece. And my great, 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 great ancestor, many, many years ago, he went off into battle, into war, and he was the only one that came back, and he came back in one piece. He came back whole. And so that's how he received the name Salem. And so that's something, again, like I feel deeply connected to my ancestors. It's something that I deeply honor. And so it's something that I want to give to others, is this feeling of wholeness and this sense of wholeness and knowing that, you came into this world with nothing and you have everything that you need right at your fingertips, no tips, no matter when you need it. And yeah, that's Salem's Vision.
Wonderful, wonderful. I got to tell you, like, just from hearing all this, is that you truly are an inspiration to all those future Assyrian business owners because from the way it looks, and after I looked at your website and how everything looked, you're killing it. You're doing great. The clothes look great. You offer some very, very sound and solid advice when it comes to marketing and PR, along with life coaching as well. I could definitely get how you'd be a good life coach just from having this conversation. It's all just wonderful. It's great. And I want to move on to your book, This Girl I Met in the Bathroom. This is the first book you've authored, correct?
Yes. So this is my debut book. I always knew I was going to be a writer. I didn't know in what capacity, but I ended up being a journalist, which is a writer by trade, and well, not necessarily, but a storyteller by trade, which is something that I've always valued as well. But yeah, it's my debut book.
So, what's the premise of it?
So this girl I met in the bathroom is a story, a coming of age story about a young girl who learns who she's becoming through her relationships and her reflections.
I see. So, are these relationships and these people that she's met, is it's all being met while she's in a public restroom?
For the most part, yeah. So the subtitle of the book is Stories and Secrets of the Lady Sanctuary. And I think as women, we often find ourselves being the most vulnerable in the bathroom. And whether that's with other women, whether that's with ourselves, you're getting to your most bare self when you're in a bathroom. And I think being able to talk about those things and have those deep conversations and have those hard conversations was the premise behind the book and why I wanted to write it.
So, tell me again once more, why did you write a book about this? Like, what was it that inspired you?
So I I was often going out with one of my very best friends at the time, and she's still such a close friend to me. And we found ourselves like going to different restaurants and lounges and bars and things like that. And the most fun we always had was with other girls in the bathroom. And there were times where we had a couple of drinks and other girls were having a couple of drinks as well, and there were just encounters where you meet people and you all of a sudden have the funniest story that you don't stop telling everybody else around you for the next week, and it's like something so wholesome and so cute, like, oh man, this girl couldn't like she couldn't button her pants because she was a little too intoxicated, and so here's like my friend coming around and helping her button her pants, and just like seeing all these things play out and seeing how so many moments can develop in the bathroom between women and how women have progressed as a society, as a community, as a whole, and treating one another, especially in places like the bathroom, I think was really cool. And I just wanted to capture how some of the simplest encounters can change us. The inspiration came from so many experiences observing intimate conversations that like often occur in just the most unexpected places.
I like this premise a lot because, although I'm not a woman, I've definitely had many of these like encounters that I would like, write a little story about whenever I would go to a public bathroom, especially if it's somewhere like a bar, for example. Like one instance where, I'm out with a friend this one night, and this was in San Jose, and I go in the bathroom, and this was a karaoke night. So we go in the bathroom, and the next thing you know, everybody in the bathroom, from the dude in the stall to like the couple of guys that are like standing at the urinal, are all singing "Hooked on a Feeling" by Bjorn Skiffs and Blue Swede. So it's just like those funny moments like that. That
Yeah,
like
they're super iconic. And my inspiration, a lot of my inspiration came from the Humans of New York page. So if you're familiar with that, there was a guy that went around and he interviewed all these different people in New York because New Yorkers come from all different walks of life. And whenever I was going in the bathroom, I felt like I was encountering women from all different walks of life. And the craziest thing about a lot of the women that I was encountering was that they shared a very similar story. And so that became kind of the thread that was interwoven in the rest of the story of this girl I met in the bathroom. Because, you often look at someone and you see someone, you think, oh, they look so different than me. They must have had such an amazing life or whatever. But you never know what somebody, what is lurking behind someone's eyes until you actually hear them out and talk to them and understand everything that they've gone through. And yeah, that was really I really wanted to shed light on a lot of the difficulties and things that women go through during these quote unquote growing pains that we experience, through our early 20s and so on.
it's truly an interesting premise, and I'm sure it's very captivating as well. How long was the process of going from pen to paper to editing and publishing?
So, similarly to you and documenting all of these different experiences that you were having, I had started documenting a lot of these experiences as early as 2011. And over time, about 5 years or so, I realized I had documented hundreds of experiences. And just from like a journalistic perspective, my observations and things like that, I could see that they were starting to tell an overall story and an overall character development. And so for about 3 to 4 years after that, I went through, so it was about a 5 years of like collecting stories and observing stories and seeing stories and experiencing them. And then after that, it was a lot of editing for many, many years, making sure that this was the right voice, the right message, and then bringing the whole story together to fill like certain gaps and to create this overall storyline and to have like this character that wasn't just representative of several women, but that was this one character, this one girl that you often just meet in the bathroom. Each step, writing, editing, publishing, taught me something new about storytelling, taught me something new about discipline, but it was about a 10-year process altogether to get to publishing and being like having the final publication finally drop. I mean, you
Wonderful.
could tell like simultaneously I'm doing 500 other things, so like like explain this unfortunately wasn't my top priority. It was just something that I had enjoyed doing because I was like having so much fun in the bathroom.
Were there ever any moments where you'd see like the same person and get an update from them, and then, like you'd only see this person in the bathroom, you'd see them at one time, and then you go about your life, and then just one random day you happen to like maybe walk in that like either it's the same bathroom you walked in or it's just like some different bathroom and you saw that person again?
So there have been people that I felt like that I've known my whole life, and just meeting them that one time in the bathroom. I feel like there have also been people where I've seen that I've known where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. Like, hi, how are you? You know, I'm trying to think if there was an experience where I have seen someone. There probably has, but I will be honest, many of those nights, were nights out with friends. And so, there may have been some drinking involved. So I can't say that all of those nights are sharp in my memory at the moment, but they were definitely several memorable moments, which is why I ended up writing most of them down because they were times that I definitely wanted to remember and experiences and things that I wanted to share with others because I felt like as a woman and someone who cares about women and women in general, men and women, but who really like wants to support women. I think it's something that people need to hear, whether that's other women or whether that's men or whatever you identify as, I think just being able to tell this story has been a really, really huge honor and a really huge privilege because I feel like it is so many things that so many different women experience. And I really hope I did that justice by representing a character called Girl. So she doesn't ever really get a name until very deep into the story. You're only getting to know her by her responses and her reactions and her interactions with other people. And I think that's what adds this level of mystery and this level of connectivity in knowing that even though there are so many things that make us different from one another, there are so many things that also connect us to one another. And they can be the most challenging, hard experiences to discuss, but they're often the ones that really do bring us together as a community and as a whole and as women.
Interesting. So what are some of your favorite moments from the book?
I really enjoy like the raw emotional exchanges between the characters. I feel like they're windows into a shared humanity. So each page tells its own story while still simultaneously telling a story as a whole. And you'll notice in her interactions in the bathroom, that's often where she's directly speaking and dealing with other women and how her progression in the bathroom shifts and how other women's progression with her shift as she continues to shift. So I think really seeing that part of the journey and seeing that facet of the story progression is so interesting to me. And then just in her experience and getting to know like this mentor of hers that helps guide her through her journey and also in just the day-to-day experience, it's definitely like an up and down story. It's meant to make you feel a lot of things. It's meant to kind of create this really like raw emotional story for you to see like a window into the lives of so many people who have experienced this. And I think that it does really create just a beautiful, like, I mean, I've also thrown some of my own experiences in there, and some of the experiences that I relate to most, and creating like who the character becomes, and seeing parts of myself in like the progression of the character's journey is kind of cool, even though like, it's not something that I'm like very out there with, because I'm like, yeah, she goes to Greece, she like has these experiences in refugee camps, and like obviously that was all based off of me. And so kind of putting those pieces of myself in her, and like having some of my own experiences in it has also been pretty cool and really interesting to see that progression and that play out and how other people receive the story. Also, like how into it other people are is like the coolest thing ever. It's like the most amazing thing. I know that's not necessarily a moment from the story, but it is one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. I mean, I will be so humble in saying any single sale that I've ever made, any single thing that anyone has ever bought from Salem's Vision, or has ever bought a copy of The Girl in the Bathroom, or even has ever booked like a life coaching thing, whatever, I have celebrated so much. Even like I'm always striving to do better and to be better, but like every single little thing, every single little win is so special to me, and I value it, and I'm so grateful for every single one. And I'm so grateful to be from a community that is as supportive and as amazing as the community that we come from. And I feel very blessed to be able to do this and to have a path and to lead a path for others to potentially do it as well.
That's very well put. Man, it's been an absolute joy to, have this conversation with you. And I have one final question for you. Of all the things that we've discussed, from your nonprofit to your website and to your book, what is the one accomplishment that you've done that you are the most proud of?
Um, this might just be the challenger in me, but I don't feel like I've had it yet. I feel like I'm constantly striving to always accomplish more, and I don't ever want to like sell myself short. I think what I've done, and all the things that I've done and accomplished, like ACSMH just had our first mental health awareness convention in the homeland this past year, which was an amazing thing. We finally hit bookstores in Michigan, indie bookstores in Michigan. So if you're in Michigan, Schuler Books in West Bloomfield and Brilliant Books in Traverse City both have copies of The Girl in the Bathroom. We're also on Amazon. We're also on Salem's Vision website. I'm talking to other retailers in Metro Detroit to carry different forms of apparel. We're expanding into digital marketing. We're expanding into PR. And so, I mean, I've, continuously always trying to find people, or not even find people, magnetize people. People come to me, I feel like oftentimes when they need something, and reaching a hand out and keeping a hand out there so that they know that there is someone there that's willing to help, and that help is there, it's for them. Just continuing to be a better version of everything that I do and everything that I've created and everything that I nurture on a day-to-day basis, I think is my accomplishment. It's just trying to strive to be better every day. It's hard to say what the best thing is, because I feel like I'm always trying to beat the next thing that I've done. And as of right now, I mean, maybe you could say some of these presentations on a broad scale have been absolutely mind-blowing and amazing to be a part of. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to work with so many amazing professionals and academics on a level like this, and to be able to have my voice heard on that level. But actually, I think having this continuous message of Salem's Vision being put out there and expanding and amplifying has been one of my greatest accomplishments. I think, just waking up every morning sometimes is one of my greatest accomplishments, because we all have our hard days. None of us are exempt from challenges or from life's situations. But I'm just always trying to figure out ways to hit that next goal. But the goal is not always the end for me. It's always about enjoying the journey. So I try to always stay open to anything can really be an accomplishment. It just matters how, just getting up and doing those little things every day, and not judging yourself before you even try, and putting forth that effort to make sure that as long as you're filling your cup and you're nourishing yourself and being the best version of yourself, you're putting that best version of yourself out there for others. And it's a really beautiful thing to be able to be a part of, and I'm so blessed. Like, I just can't say it enough. I'm really, really thankful to God a million times, and my family and my support system and the people around me and the people that trust me and believe in me. And I'm thankful to myself. I sometimes think I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know, like, but I still do it. I just get into it and I do it, and I try to do it with confidence, and I feel like I do it with confidence. And I just never stop going. And that's another thing. Like I said, shout out to keep going. It's just one thing is to just always keep going. And I think that's our greatest accomplishment as a society, is we just all keep going, because the world only moves in one direction, and that's forward. Or I think like on its tilt to the left or something. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Altogether, very well put. Christina, thank you so much for coming on to the Assyrian podcast today. Before we go, I do want to give you the plugs and everything. If you are interested, listeners, in wanting to check out her website, you can go to salemsvision.com. There's also the shop, and there's also a section for her book, This Girl I Met in the Bathroom, on the website as well. If you're interested in purchasing the book, as she mentioned, it's on Amazon, at Brilliant Books in Traverse City, Michigan, and Schuler Books in West Bloomfield, Michigan. If you'd like to check her out on social media, it's Salem's Vision on all social media platforms. And if you want to check out the social media page for her book, it's This Girl I Met in the Bathroom. Last but certainly not least, there's also the nonprofit ACS Mental Health.org is the website that you should go to if you'd like to go check that out. The social media platform is acs.mentalhealth. So once again, Christina Salem, thank you so much for coming on to the Assyrian podcast. It's been truly a joy to have this conversation with you, and I wish you all good luck in your endeavors.
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you so much to our beautiful community. Thank you for allowing me to serve you and to be somebody that is always trying to amplify our voices and to amplify our story to the world at large. I love you all, and I love you all so much. And I'm so grateful for all of you. And I hope to continue to make you all proud.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Assyrian podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who can benefit from listening. Until then, we'll catch you next time for episode 213.